but when they don't, then the shit gets hot. Though there's C+ in their gameplay, their commentary gets an A. So boys, girls, black, white, brown, and blue, if you're kind and you're respectful too, then we would like to welcome you to Misadventureland.
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to the Misadventureland Game Show. I'm Bobby, and I'm here with Justin.
Hello.
How you doing, bud?
I am okay. Tired, but excited to be here.
Just okay, huh? Jeez. That's it, huh? Just okay. Even with
I'm
this
very excited.
giant news that dropped today?
Let's start at the very beginning.
Just gonna start drinking.
You just go ahead. You start drinking heavily. This morning we got news of a big video game thing that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And yes. I am, we have a routine. We wake up in the morning. I play Wordle. I don't text Bobby what my Wordle score was because we text each other every day about it because he knows what word I use in the beginning and I don't want to spoil any letters. And I'm sitting there about to get the kids ready for school and I see this giant news drop that, Activision has been bought by Microsoft. And I can tell that Bobby's notifications are off because it says so on my phone. That he has notifications off, and I have the option to push through it anyway. And I'm just texting him repeatedly, wake up. Wake up. We need to talk. It took him an hour to get back to me.
Well, yes, I
didn't push through those notifications in case he was sleeping, because I know the man has not slept of late.
No, I haven't slept. I woke up this morning, and I opened and I got very little sleep. My son was up and down, and it was a bad night, and I was really out of it. And then I woke up late, and my son had to go to school, so we started panicking and running around to try to get him ready for school. And I looked at my phone very bleary eyed when I first, and it was I had 24 text messages in our group text message, and then I think 4 from you. And so I was like, oh my God, what happened? Because most of the time I am not on the outside of the 24 messages. I'm usually the one getting yelled at, one of the people getting yelled at by, let's say, Andy, because there's a lot of messages in the group chat.
True story.
And I think, I'm not sure because I was very out of it. I think before I even looked at the text, I had opened Twitter. Because I don't read text right away because I'm probably gonna have to answer these or understand what's happening, and I'd rather if I look at Twitter I can just sort of be zoned. So I looked at Twitter and I think I saw it happened probably a half an hour before I opened my eyes or something. So I saw it on Twitter and I was like, what? It was just my brain was like, this isn't a real thing. This is not a real announcement. And then I read all the texts from you guys in the group chat. But yes, Microsoft acquired Activision Blizzard King for $68.7 billion.
69 billion.
It was very close to 69. It was 0.3 million away from being 69.
They should have really just said we're just going to put this at 69 so the entire internet could have a collective. Nice.
I'm wondering if that's why they didn't do it.
Why do they hate us so much?
It is by far the biggest video game based acquisition ever. The second biggest, I believe, was just a couple weeks ago when Take-Two bought Zynga for 12 billion.
12 billion.
To give you an idea, this is 10 times as big, more than 10 times as big as Microsoft buying Bethesda a few years ago, and that was obviously huge. So this means this is the announcement of the deal. How these things work, people don't know. The deal isn't done yet. They're saying the deal probably closes around June of next year. Not necessarily it's not gonna happen in June, but it's by June of next year. And it will take a while. It has to go through all approvals and everything, but they have to announce this stuff relatively early because there's a lot of like legal stuff that has to get taken care of, and it's going to leak regardless if they don't. So it gets announced. It means basically that Microsoft now will own everything, all IP and studios that Activision, Blizzard, and King own. So, Activision, obviously, it's Call of Duty is the big one. Obviously, with Blizzard, you've got World of Warcraft, Diablo, Overwatch, StarCraft, and then King is Candy Crush and stuff like that over there. Which that thing makes like $2 billion a year or something like that, or more, or whatever. So it's probably the most profitable of all the wings that they bought, and the one that people who like games probably care the least about, right? So yeah, so we can get it. I feel like there's a lot of stuff to talk about. Obviously we're podcasting on a night that we don't usually podcast on, and because this happened, and it's sort of like it's kind of thrown everything into upheaval right now because it's all anybody can talk about. Along with this announcement, they also announced that Game Pass had hit 25 million subscribers. So let's just say that too. They also announced that at the same time, which was interesting that they announced it at the same time. Justin, what were your initial feelings when you saw the news?
I generally take these type of things, with in stride. I'll say, like, I thought that Microsoft buying Bethesda a couple of years ago was like, wow, this is a big deal. Like, that's so unexpected. And my initial reaction is like, is this good for me as a consumer?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is all these things are probably coming to Game Pass. So at a very surface level, yes, this is good for me because it helps my wallet.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw this announcement this morning, I immediately kind of freaked out a little. And I think that would be a fair assessment, just because, and I think you and I were talking about this once you were like, up and we started speaking. Mm-hmm. Like, this is a megaton. This is a landmark day in video games. I don't know if there's ever been a day like this before. I'm not saying that this day can't be surpassed later, but this is a huge landscape clearing deal that could have massive ramifications on the video game landscape moving forward.
Yeah. The thing I'll say is that you probably haven't seen the last of this type of consolidation. You're absolutely right. It is a landmark thing. Activision is one of the biggest publishers of video games in the entire world. Obviously, not a small price tag to be paid by Microsoft to acquire them and the IPs that they hold across the multiple companies that they already own. So this, it's much like the Bethesda purchase. This is Microsoft buying a company that is made up of a bunch of other companies, right? Yeah. So, Microsoft is collecting IP in an insane, in an insane way right now. I will say that they have said that Bobby Kotick will stay on until the merger is over, and then once the merger is done, once the sale is final, he'll be leaving. And they put out an org. There's look, I'm not a lawyer, okay? So what I'm going to say right now is taken from listening to other people who seem to know what they're talking about. I know a lot of people wanted like declarative statements from Phil Spencer or from Microsoft, kind of saying like Kotick is out, he's gone. Like we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that and we're gonna reform this and we're gonna reform that. And while all that stuff is needed and would be very nice to hear, legally right now they cannot do that. They cannot make any statements before the sale is final about what they're going to do with Activision, Blizzard in any specific manner, because there's still Activision is still its own solo entity. Microsoft does not own them yet, and they are a publicly traded company. So anything said about them affects stock price and affects people, and there is very, very stringent regulations on stuff like that. And so they cannot talk about that stuff. The truth is this, and this is the shitty part, right? As far as like the, from a social conscience, standpoint, and from just a like a fairness standpoint, Bobby Kotick is going to walk out of this thing with a shit ton of money. It's just going to happen.
$298 million.
Yes, it's going to happen. He's going to walk out with a shit ton of money. Is it fair? No. Should he have to deal with a lot of consequences for what happened at Activision? Yes. If is Microsoft directly saying in the way of any of that stuff happening? I don't know. I don't know if this sale takes pressure off Bobby Kotick. If it doesn't, I don't know what the states are going to do. What with the government, with the lawsuits or happen with the lawsuits, I don't know. So there's a lot of stuff happening here that is way bigger than games and way bigger than just like the games we're going to play. It's tough to know how any of that stuff's going to turn out right now. So it's tough to really talk about and theorize about. What I will say is that my idealistic hope, and I don't know if this is going to happen or not, right, is that by buying them and kind of getting rid eventually of the people who at the top and maybe all through the organization, is it will make the lives of the people who work there better than it was before the purchase. That's outside of just like the sort of existential threat of consolidation and monopolization and all that kind of stuff. Just talking from that perspective, that's what I hope as far as like what's going on with those things. But as far as like the law goes and how that stuff works going forward with Activision and the legal action against them, I don't know. I don't know what happens with that stuff. My gut says, and I'll just see what you think about this, is that Microsoft will take whatever ruling the government says and go, okay, yep, we're going to do that. We're going to do all the things you're telling us to do to make this place better. And we're going to do all those things. And, we're going to spend the money to do it. Like that's my feeling and what will happen. Whatever goes down. But for what that means for like the executives who are there currently who may be in trouble from it, I don't know.
Agree. I think that Microsoft is going to come in and be like, just like you said, whatever they can do to make this problem go away fastest now is what Microsoft's going to do. Right. Because they do not want, I mean, it's an interesting situation. And I mean, hopefully that's putting it strong enough, but I don't know anywhere else where you would see a third party organization come in the middle of a shitstorm that's been going on around a different company and be like, we're going to acquire this company.
Yeah.
It's not something that's generally done, I would think, because Microsoft just inserted themselves into the middle of a giant problem.
Yeah.
And now it's not Microsoft's problem totally yet, but it will be.
Yeah.
So they're going to want to just solve this problem and get it out of the news and look like the good guys as soon as humanly possible. And, I hope that's what happens.
Yeah.
Worrying about consolidation and antitrust laws and all that stuff aside, you hope that Microsoft comes in there and cleans house in one way or another. If it's like these guys get pillow contract or, pillow parachutes, or that's the word I'm looking for, golden parachutes to escape the company, whatever, get them the fuck out. And then hopefully that Microsoft comes in there and changes the way things are done there. And I'm not going to say Microsoft is some golden company where everything is magical and everybody loves working there. I don't know that. But I do know that it's been awful at, Activision Blizzard King for God knows how long.
Yeah.
A decade plus, if not longer. It can't be any worse.
Yeah. And it seems like, and from, the reports are all over the place. So, we don't know the real total and hard truth, because there's some different reports coming out of, let's say, reporting and then kind of like what Kotick is saying. But what people are saying is that essentially Microsoft jumped on this opportunity. Essentially, when things started going really bad at Activision Blizzard, they kind of came in and said, we want us to, you want to sell to us now? And would probably drove, a couple of years ago would have probably been impossible, right? Because a company that has the biggest game in the world is not necessarily going to it's not really looking to sell off, their asset portfolio. But when your company is kind of in trouble, it becomes a much more attractive thing for another company to come in and save you, which is essentially what is happening here. I will say that they, like you said, there is going to be an incredible amount of scrutiny on them during this whole process. When I first saw this announcement, my first thought was like, is this a bad move for them? Because they have been they have been so setting themselves up, right, as like the good guys of the good big guys. You know what I mean? Like the guys who like, yeah, we're really big and like we're swallowing stuff up, but man, like we're cool, man. We love games and people love working here, and you know, Phil's like your fun, like, you know, really well-meaning, you know, video game dad, you know, who's just looking out for you and wants you to have fun stuff to do. And this is the most direct challenge to that, like, sort of status that they had, and they brought it upon themselves, right? Like, there is major overhaul to do with the company, regardless of just Kotick getting out of there. Like, from the reports that those problems, you know, stem from the top all the way down to the bottom. So there's going to be a lot of rooting out they're going to have to do there. Along with this, they did also do this thing where it's, you know, they can't talk about what happened with Kotick. Now we've sort of heard that Kotick is going to be gone afterwards, but they did put out an org chart of like of Xbox leadership when they put this out, and basically said like, once the sale's over, everyone reports to Phil Spencer, right? And Spencer has like a new title now at Microsoft,
CEO
which is
of gaming.
CEO Microsoft Gaming. And they kind of showed the leadership team, I think in part because, and look, this is it's true, so it's good that it's true, but it's in part released during this thing to say like, look, we are not Activision, because the majority of the leadership team at Microsoft Gaming is women, you know, so they're really trying to say like, you know, we are not like them at all. And Phil said stuff, you know, he said some quotes about how like there is like no room for like, you know, he says, as a company, Microsoft is committed to our journey for inclusion in every aspect of gaming among both employees and players. We deeply value individual studio cultures. We also believe that creative success and autonomy go hand in hand with treating every person with dignity and respect. We hold all teams and all leaders to this commitment. We're looking forward to extending our culture of proactive inclusion to the great teams across Activision Blizzard. So that's what you know, Spencer said about that. So yeah, I mean, so that's sort of like the I think the bigger cultural context of what this is, because I don't think we can like kind of like leave that aside. And like you said, there's also like questions about like just like when Disney bought Fox, and you know, it's like, is like some of this as like a nerd game guy is like, yeah, this is fun and exciting and cool, but as like this is cool now, but in 10 years this is gonna mean like shit's terrible. Like, we just don't know, right? We just don't know, because
it's like with these giant acquisitions, like you bringing up Disney and Fox.
Yeah,
like for people like you and I, there's always a carrot on the stick. It's like, well, this giant corporation is buying this other giant corporation. That seems not great.
Yeah,
but
yeah, exactly.
That means I can get a Fantastic Four movie in the MCU, and the X-Men are back, and Daredevil, and all this stuff. Now that's fucking rad.
Yeah.
And with this, you know, it kind of falls into the same territory. Like, sometimes I just like watching things go bad. We're just like, I like to see things that are going to change. Like, you know, like, I'm going to throw a bunch of firecrackers into that garbage can. It's probably not going to go great, but we're going to see what's going to happen. And so like that, to me, that's what a lot of this is. You know, it works out well for my wallet. Like, I am going to have Game Pass until it goes away. So you're telling me that I'm going to get the next Call of Duty on Game Pass, Overwatch, Diablo 4, if they bring back any of those franchises, the ones that you didn't even mention, like Tony Hawk or Crash Bandicoot or Spyro, like, are they going to bring those guys back? We can get into that in a little while, but like, yeah, cool. Those will all come to Game Pass. That's awesome. But also, like, if Call of Duty isn't coming to PlayStation, what's PlayStation's response to this? Like, I want to see the landscape change. Like, that would be neat to watch, because we've been in a very stagnant place for a long time with video games. Like, this is the first real big firecracker thrown into the video game garbage can.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. And so like, that gets me excited to see like what comes of all this. But at the same time, it's just like, well, Microsoft is literally becoming a behemoth.
Yes.
Like, this is what happens when they lose a console generation. They literally buy all video games. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, and you know, one of the things that, you know, Jeff Grubb mentioned, Video Game Insider and serial leaker Jeff Grubb mentioned was, you know, as far as the antitrust stuff goes, it's like, Microsoft they have a lot of defenses against it, right? Which is look, there are two other companies like us who make video games and a console, and they're doing great. Like, look at these numbers. Like, we don't own this space. This is not going to make us own this space. We release all our games, yes, on our platform, but we also release it on another platform, on another company's store, where you can buy it there and own it. And yes, and that's even on our operating system. We let a competitor's store operate on our operating system, no questions asked. We don't get a cut of it. So they have a lot of ways to sort of circumnavigate these arguments, right? And I don't necessarily think like truthfully, this is another thing Jeff Grubb mentioned in it, but I was thinking about it as well, is what is... Yes, but them buying Activision Blizzard was a huge deal, and they're getting a bunch of very big IP, and they're getting a bunch of studios, and a lot of classic games are now under their sort of like stewardship, right? But it's not like Activision Blizzard was a flourishing company that had like a great business model and was taking advantage of all of this stuff that they had. They had focused themselves down to basically putting out Call of Duty, and hopefully at some point some Blizzard game. Like that's like where they were. They were a company that had a bad leadership, that wasn't taking advantage of what they were doing, and they were headed in the wrong direction. Which means eventually, what probably would have happened if this hadn't happened was either they would have sold off their IP in some sort of like in sort of maybe deal, or they would have focused all their efforts onto whatever was successful. Like, let's say Call of Duty started to go down, they focus all their efforts on King and the mobile space, and then all of a sudden they're like the American Konami, where they have all of these IP that nobody can use and that they're not making games of because they found a way to find money elsewhere. So this isn't like, let's say, even EA, like them buying EA, which I think would have been I think for me a little bit more of a chilling experience, because EA is a company that is, even though they've had problems, is constantly making stuff. They're doing things. They're doing things. So that's my only thing with the Activision thing. I do agree in general about like media consolidation does not usually end up in a great place. But speaking of, let's talk about the games though. I think everybody wants, the first thing everyone wants to know is Call of Duty, right? Like, again, we're all speculating here. We have no answers about what's going on, but I think it'd be fun to speculate.
There was an answer. A vague answer about like Phil Spencer saying like, look, we know that some of these IPs that broadly speaking, we know that these IPs are shared on other platforms, and we're not looking to take those communities away from those games. I think that's a very carefully worded statement that he made.
Yeah, it's also basically a copy and paste of what he said after they bought Bethesda. It's like nearly exactly what they said. Yeah.
I think that we will not see. Let's take Call of Duty Vanguard. There is a community out there for that video game. They're not going to take Call of Duty Vanguard away from the PlayStation community. I don't think the PlayStation community is getting the next exclusive Call of Duty. I do think that Warzone will remain multi-platform.
Yes,
100%. And moving forward, you and I were bouncing around some ideas of what they could do with Call of Duty. Let's go there, because let me ask you: do you think that, let's say it is now June of 2023? In 2022, Modern Warfare 2 is going to come out, and we think that is going to be the next big Call of Duty. Modern Warfare was the last big Call of Duty. It's going to be a big deal this year, a very big deal. Do you see Microsoft, once they acquire, Activision, that they're going to keep Call of Duty on the same release cadence?
No, and I think what we talked about was my guess what they do with Call of Duty, from a campaign perspective, let's say, is what they did with Halo, right? Which is, I think Warzone obviously is going to remain multi-platform. It makes too much money. There's too much ongoing money to be made from Warzone being on multiple platforms to take it away. It also would
It's like Minecraft in that way.
Yes, and it also would be something which they don't do, which is they do not take stuff that is already out away from people who are currently playing it, right? They just don't do it. They didn't do it with Minecraft, and they haven't done it with any of the Bethesda stuff. You can still, the Skyrim Anniversary Edition came out on PlayStation, you know, like they're not taking those games away, right? But I think like regular PvP multiplayer, I think, is also something that they know they can probably monetize in a constant way, right? If they make it free, if it's not even part of Game Pass, if it's just free and it's out there and you can play it, I think they keep those things, especially because, like you said, Modern Warfare 2 is going to come out next year before this deal is done. It's going to be on everything. They're not going to retroactively take Modern Warfare away from people who are playing it, right? But I also don't think, as you said, I don't think they're going to do an every year game anymore. I think they're going to make a Call of Duty team, is my guess, like they did with Halo, like they've done with Gears. And they're going to say, okay, you guys, it's probably going to be a mix of Infinity Ward and Treyarch people, and they're going to say, you guys are the Call of Duty team. And every 2 years, every 3 years, we want a campaign. We want a new story-driven campaign out of you. We can put on Game Pass. And in the interim, you're going to be constantly supporting Warzone and the PvP multiplayer, which is going to be ongoing throughout the time that it's been going on. And stop also kind of like this thing where it's like, from one year to another, the Call of Duty multiplayer has different mechanics in it from year to year, you know, depending on who's making it. And that just seems crazy for a multiplayer game. That's what I think anyway. What do you think, Justin?
Yeah, I mean, I really wonder if they'll take those studios and break them apart and be like, okay, some people from here, some people from here, you're now the COD studio. I do wonder if they'll do that, because they have these studios that make really good games. If anything, I would suspect that they might take probably Infinity Ward, right? Because they do Modern Warfare. What if they just took Infinity Ward and said, Infinity Ward, you are now the Call of Duty team. That's it. And they take Treyarch and be like, go make something else. Go make another game. You've got the chops to do it. Go for it. Like, go make us a new IP.
Yeah.
That's something I could see. That's something else I could see them doing, is taking like organizing these studios in ways that where it's like, congratulations, Raven, you are no longer just a Call of Duty support studio.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. And that's kind of what I was trying to get at. Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
But you know, it's just so weird, right? Because we're so used to having Call of Duty every year. And I don't know like how that'll work. Like, is one team big enough to just do support multiplayer and then do zombies? You know, will we just get one client and the Call of Duty will run on one client for the next 10 years? Like, I'm fascinated by what they're going to do with this.
You know, because I think like what I was kind of saying again, we're this completely theorizing, is you take the people from Infinity Ward, the people from Sledgehammer, the people from Treyarch, the people from Raven who want to work on Call of Duty, right? Who actually like, that's what they want to do. And you let them form like, you know, the Giga Call of Duty team that can work on everything, right? And then you take those studios that, like a Vicarious Visions or like a Raven or like a Toys for Bob, who have all been sort of like shuttled in to make, you know, to be Call of Duty support studios, because the only thing they care about is getting Call of Duty out, because it's the only thing holding their business up. And let them go and do, you know, the things they want to do, make other games, because Microsoft does not need Call of Duty to come out every year to be successful. They don't need 7 studios working on it. You know, I just think, you know, my guess is that if what they're doing, which they have like Warzone and let's say multiplayer and zombies are their own sort of like free to play package, right? My guess is you get a campaign, you know, every 2 years or something like that. That would be my guess if they wanted to go that way. Maybe they don't. Maybe they go like Warzone stays free, everything else is in Game Pass, and we're gonna do like a new Call of Duty game every 2-3 years, like, and it's gonna be the full package. But like you said in the text, like Modern Warfare 1 probably could have been going until now if they had just supported it like other studios, other developers, other publishers support their live service games.
I mean, honestly, they shot Modern Warfare in the back. Modern Warfare was gaining steam the longer that game was out, which is crazy for a Call of Duty game. And then they released, what was it, Black Ops 4? 5?
Cold War. Black Ops Cold War. I don't whatever was
Cold War,
5.
yeah.
It would be 5, but yes.
And that game was a good time, but it wasn't Modern Warfare. Like, I wanted to go back and play more Modern Warfare, and now they've released Vanguard, which I liked the campaign in Vanguard, but you don't see me playing the multiplayer because it's like fine. It's there's nothing really wrong with it, but like I thought Modern Warfare was like a touchstone moment for Call of Duty. It's like it's the one I really, really liked. So if they might just take a look at Modern Warfare 2 when it comes out and be like, you know what? This is now ours now that it's out. We're just going to leave it be for the time being. Let it go for 2 or 3 years. And in that time frame, they will they'll cook up a new Call of Duty studio and do something wild with it. Who knows?
Yeah.
We also don't know right now if Modern Warfare 2 is coming out this year. The following Call of Duty is already in development. So what happens with that studio now? Like, is that studio still going to work on that? Like, there's a lot of interesting things going on behind the scene right now.
Yeah.
And that's just with their one franchise.
Yeah. And the truth is, like, and this is the thing too, like I said before about the Kotick situation, Microsoft cannot dictate what happens at Activision right now from a legal standpoint. So if they're developing a Call of Duty game, they're not going to stop developing a Call of Duty game, right? Whoever it is, Treyarch, I think it's got to be Treyarch, working on whatever they're working on, is going to keep working on it because Microsoft can't say, hey, when we take you over, this is not how it's going to go. They can't say that. Even if they could say that, if the deal doesn't happen and Activision suspended work on a Call of Duty game, it's over, right? So this is, so just like all these acquisitions and stuff that happens, it's going to take time before the full like Microsoftness of everything that's happening takes a hold. Like you're looking right now with the Bethesda stuff, we're a year plus out, 2 years, 2 years from that announcement almost, and there's still a game yet to come out on the PlayStation exclusively from Bethesda. So these kind of things that have motion that are going on that that can't be stopped. But to give you everybody a little bit of a picture here, Call of Duty Vanguard was thought of to be a middling Call of Duty that didn't have a ton of impact. It was still the best-selling game of 2021, and the number 2 best-selling game of 2021 was Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. So like this is what we're talking about as far as like amount of interest in these games, right? So it is gonna be very interesting to see what Microsoft does as far as those things. Maybe they Minecraft it in general. Maybe they just go, okay, like we'll have other stuff that's exclusive, but like Call of Duty is just gonna be multi-platform because because it has enough microtransactions that the math works out that it will make more money if it's not on game. It'll be free on Game Pass. It'll be you can get it on Game Pass for free, but if you want to buy it somewhere else, you can. It's all going to be a math equation for them. It's not like a Bethesda single player game, right? It's not like Starfield.
Yeah.
So it's different.
I wonder. I really do.
Yeah.
For some reason, I just think like you're spending $70 billion. I think it was Grubb who was saying something like, look, they could get half that money back in the next like 2-3 years with just Warcraft subs every month.
Yeah.
Like it's like $70 billion to us is like, oh my God, that's like an insane amount of money. But for Microsoft, it's just like, well, we had 120 billion to spend. So we just put 70 of it over here. No big deal.
I mean, that's what Jeff Grubb also said. He said, also guys, like they spent $70 billion. They have a lot more money to spend if they want to spend it. So like this is not the end. This is not like they tapped themselves out on this purchase, So
but
anyway,
that's it. That said, like them spending $70 billion, I think it's just going to be exclusive. I think whatever Treyarch is working on, whatever that next Call of Duty is, that's going to be beyond Modern Warfare 2. I think that game is just like, okay, that game just comes to Game Pass, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like I think it's all gonna come down to their math, right? Is like if they figure out that the amount of money that will drop that Call of Duty being exclusive to Game Pass and PC, right? Everything's gonna be on PC still, is going to drive Game Pass subs high enough where it will offset, the money they'll lose if they take it off of other consoles. That's what they'll do. But if they go like, listen, we're leaving like, a couple of $1 billion on the table. I don't know what their math figures out onto that. First, in a single player sense is what I mean. You know what I mean? Like, sorry, in a multiplayer sense. Yeah. The single player is a whole different ball of wax. You know what I mean? Like that, I don't know. But
I agree. There is a really good chance they go the Halo route with this thing, but I don't think it ends up on PlayStation. I don't think that free-to-play multiplayer ends up on PlayStation. I could see the free-to-play being thing like, oh, if you want to play the multiplayer, absolutely, come here, come over here.
Yeah, absolutely.
On PC and on Game Pass.
Yeah.
I just think they're and we talked about this earlier today as well. They're going to put the screws to Microsoft. They're going to put the screws to Sony, and their end game, like you said to me, was they want to get Game Pass on PlayStation. Yeah, they want to get it as an app on PlayStation.
They want to get so big that Sony can't not do it. That's what they want.
And by taking away Call of Duty is, I would say taking away the next Skyrim or Elder Scrolls game, and then having Starfield be on there, and not to say Doom or any of those games. That's step one. And it's like, oh, by the way, we also just took your best-selling game of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, like we talked about Call of Duty a lot. Like that's the biggest ongoing question, right? Is what happens with Call of Duty. It's question also about, right, what's going to happen with the other two games that we know are being made, right, that have been delayed, are Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2, right? Those are the two games that we know are going concerns for that company and what's going to happen with them. I do not believe with Diablo 4 they announced any platforms except for PC. Like, basically, I don't think they said. I think they might have mentioned it's coming to console, but I don't think they ever said like they put like a logo on that thing about the consoles. I believe that Diablo 4 is 100% going to end up an exclusive to PC and Game Pass. Would be my guess. I'm not sure about Overwatch 2 only because I don't know if they have previously committed, to other platforms. That's my biggest question.
So if they said, hi, we're coming to PlayStation, you know what? Let's just look this up.
Yeah, you can look it up. I'm sure that information is out there. And it's not that they couldn't. I'm not even saying even if they said like, hey, this is coming to PlayStation, like I'm not saying they could not go back.
They did. Oh, just as the case with its predecessor, Overwatch 2 will be available on PlayStation, Xbox, Switch.
Okay.
So I mean, that could always just change.
It could absolutely change, but my guess is that it probably wouldn't, because they don't want to, they don't want to take back promises that were already made, and that's part of what I think that's part of what Spencer was saying. Now the game could be still far enough out where they can sort of say like, hey, like things change, if this was announced a couple years ago, like a lot of stuff has changed, like no deals were signed, so like we're going to, it's going to be exclusive to Xbox and Game Pass, Game Pass and PC. But my gut says that might not be the case.
Well, I mean, here's the other thing. Both these games are scheduled for 2023. So,
yeah.
I would assume we would hear more about them this year. And at that point, they would say, well, Diablo is coming to PlayStation and Xbox. They're technically not owned by Microsoft yet, so they could make that announcement. What happens then?
Then it's going to come out to everything. That's just and that's kind of what Grubb said too. It's just like with Bethesda making those deals for Ghostwire and and Deathloop. Like they were probably in talks already when those deals were getting made. So so it's going to be what it is. Like, they can't dictate, right, what happens with those companies. Diablo, I think you can get away with being like, it's not just on PC right now, completely,
Yeah.
So they did that with 3, I don't know, but that would be my guess anyway. We'll see. I mean, that's also the question: is Diablo 4 really gonna come out in 2023? Who knows? Like, who knows?
Or is it Overwatch? I mean, here's the thing. I think Microsoft coming in. Like, the problem is, I really wish, if this deal's going to happen, I kind of wish that it was happening sooner, just because it'd be nice to have some sort of like clear leadership come in and be like, this is what's happening with these video games that have been in development hell for years.
Yes.
Like, I think Microsoft coming in and getting their hands on the studio running Overwatch and be like, okay, what's the deal here? Let's figure this out. You're releasing on Game Pass, so you don't have to worry about there being a $60 charge. You could just like change the way that game is gonna be handled, where it's big now. At that point, basically, if it's coming to Game Pass, it could be like you would assume it's just like free to play then.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. We haven't seen yet, right?
Pass.
We haven't not seen an exclusive live service based game really on Game Pass, right? Like we have nothing like this, but so I don't know how they even handles that. Does that mean it's just free to play and you get Game Pass perks? If you have Game Pass for something like Overwatch 2, if it is free to play, or maybe they do the Halo thing. There's supposedly a campaign in Overwatch 2. Campaign is Game Pass, multiplayer is free to play. Who knows? Like what that ends up being. Much easier to look at something like Diablo and be like, okay, well, obviously we know, like if the deal is done in time for that, it's going to be on Game Pass, whatever. And of course they want these games to be exclusive, but I think also like being able to say to people, look, you don't have to spend $60-$70 on Diablo 4, it's on other things, but you go to Game Pass, it's here, we got you. This also helps them again expand their content library, because Activision has a giant library of games that can be put out. You mentioned Tony Hawk. I think you absolutely see a Tony Hawk thing being made, like almost immediately when that acquisition happens. We got Crash Bandicoots now owned by Microsoft. Spyro's now owned by Microsoft. There's concepts like Pitfall, stuff like that, which were owned by Activision, are now owned by Microsoft. Obviously, we talked about Diablo and Overwatch, but there's also World of Warcraft. We talked, StarCraft, also now owned by Microsoft. Some of my questions are like, what is the deal with like Sekiro, right? Sekiro was published by Activision. I'm assuming Activision owned that IP, but I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I don't know for sure if they did or not.
Let's see.
They definitely published it, but I don't know if what their deal was with From Software. Also, like, Guitar Hero is owned by Activision. And I also wonder, like, Activision used to do a lot of licensed games. I don't know what all like the rights stuff is on that stuff, if they're allowed to re-release that stuff. But there's a lot of games that they put out, including some pretty decent Spider-Man games that I would love to be able to play again in some way. Let's see, Activision owned IPs.
From Software owns Sekiro.
They do. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So that was just like a publishing deal then.
Yeah.
My heart would also soar too, Greggy, if Guitar Hero ever came back, but I don't think that it will, considering Rock Band didn't do so great. But I mean, here's the thing: if you have again, I don't know how the licensing stuff works, so I don't think you can just re-release those Guitar Hero games, right? But if they're able to put them on Game Pass and you just have like 5 Guitar Hero games that you can play for not having to buy every single one, like that's not bad. You know what I mean?
Can they still release those games due to the
that's my I don't know.
agreements?
I have no idea. That's the thing I don't know. But so they get here are the studios that they get. They get Beanox, which again is now a Call of Duty support studio. They used to make Spider-Man games and other things as well. Blizzard, obviously. High Moon Studios, who made those they're the Transformers games, right?
Those Transformer games were rad.
Again, they're a Call of Duty support studio now. And they were a Destiny support studio for a little while. Infinity Ward, obviously. King, we talked about. Raven, again, same thing. A cool ass developer who made a lot of fucking cool games in their time. You know, like the Marvel Ultimate Alliance, you know, games. They made, you know, the Star Wars Jedi Knight games, and you know, right now they're kind of like the support studio for Warzone. Sorry, Sledgehammer Games, which, you know, obviously is a Call of Duty studio. I don't know what they would do separately, but you know, their pedigree of that studio originally came from the Dead Space team, but most of that team has moved on at this point. Toys for Bob, who made Crash Bandicoot 4. They did that Spyro Reignited trilogy, games that people really liked. Also got shepherded off to just be a Call of Duty support studio, and then Treyarch, of course, which has always kind of been a not always, but has been a Call of Duty studio for a very long time. They used to have a lot of other studios, but a lot of them got collapsed or shut down. Like, God, what were they called? Not who were the people? Neversoft, who used to make Tony Hawk games and then make Guitar Hero games. Got shepherded away. X-Men Legends 1 and 2, also Raven, yes. So it's pretty crazy. I'm trying to like a better list. Okay, here we go. Yeah, baby, here we go. Here's a full list, apparently, according to thenerdstash.com. So we'll see if this is actually true. Blur, which, if people don't remember the last like kind of heyday of like arcade like combat racing stuff, Blur was like grown-up Mario Kart, basically, is what it was. And it was a pretty cool game. Caesar, I don't know what that is. Call of Duty, Candy Crush, Crash Bandicoot, Diablo, DJ Hero, Empire Earth. They own some FMV games like Gabriel Knight. Microsoft now owns Geometry Wars for the first time, a game that is very explicitly like sort of like related to their platform. Guitar Hero, Gun, Hearthstone,
yeah, Gun,
Heroes of the Storm, Hexen, King's Quest, Interstate 76, The Lost Vikings, Overwatch, Phantasmagoria, Pitfall, Police Quest, Prototype, Quest for Glory, Singularity, which was also a cool game. That was the Raven game, right? The time rewind game, right?
Yeah.
Where you could like turn back time.
I think so.
You could like, oh, there's stairs. I turned back time and turned forward time and destroyed them, and they landed on these soldiers or whatever. Skylander, Soldier of Fortune, Space Quest, Spyro the Dragon, StarCraft, Tenchu, Time Shift, Tony Hawk, True Crime, World of Warcraft, and Zork. So they've got a lot of stuff. I also wonder if they like resurrect some like old like kind of forgotten games like StarCraft Ghost and stuff like that. Just for sort of that kind of stuff. I mean, Gruen is saying, please put those old Sierra games on Game Pass. I can't imagine they wouldn't. Like, that's the point of doing this. You know, it's why I forgot who bought MGM a couple months ago. That's the whole point of buying libraries and these games. Half the point of buying them is not just the new games they're going to make, but the old games that can fill out your service. Like that's part of what it is as like a you know, a streamer or a content library like this. So yeah, it's gonna be fascinating. It's gonna be fascinating mostly because, much like we're talking about Konami, right? They don't do anything with these IPs anymore. They don't do anything with them. So to have a company buy them who will let them probably use them and also take them and maybe give them to other studios that they own to work on, like, would be really, really great. Alejandro, I think it was Amazon that bought MGM. I think it was Amazon.
Yes,
right.
4.45 billion.
Yeah. That's all about the content library. But you know, like, let's say, you know, Double Fine, you know, doing one of these old Sierra adventure games like King's Quest. Like, that's a great marriage of those two, you know, things. And now they can make stuff like that happen. We got to get that Prototype, you know, revamp that we've always needed and deserved. The second best superhero, could be bad superhero game of that year that it came out.
Yeah, I forgot about Prototype all the time.
Well, it's kind of a forgettable game. I'm mostly guessing. I'm mostly joking. Yeah. So a lot to see. What do they do with StarCraft? What do they do with Warcraft? What, like, who the fuck knows? But they own so many IP now, and they own all of the premier first-person shooter franchises that exist now. I'm trying to think,
Yep,
and they don't own
they do.
Battlefield. They don't own Battlefield.
You're right. They don't own Battlefield.
That's what they don't own.
I really wonder if this causes Sony to be like, we need to bring back Killzone like as soon as possible.
Well, let's talk about that. How do you think Sony? That's another piece of this puzzle, right? How do you think Sony and Nintendo react to something like this?
Nintendo looks up from its casting book of the Mario movie 2 and just goes, huh.
Yeah.
And puts their head back in the book.
By the way, they're reading this book. They're reading this book inside of Scrooge McDuck vault of the money that they have on hand at all times.
Yeah. Nintendo, Grun said it in chat. Nintendo doesn't flinch. They're not really part of this. They're going to keep getting overtures from Microsoft to be like, "Can we put Game Pass on Switch, please? Come on."
Yeah.
It would be really good for us to do this.
Yeah.
We have a nice
the
relationship.
Right? It would be xCloud, but yeah, the xCloud version. But yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall today at Sony headquarters, just to see what the reaction to this was, because Sony, as big as they are, just can't play in this pool.
No,
like, I'm sorry, you cannot. They could make an acquisition, but it's not going to be at this level. Like, let's talk about it. Like, could they possibly acquire Square Enix?
Yes, I mean,
maybe.
Let's like set the bar really quick, because we were talking about this in our group chat a little bit too. Sony's market cap, which is kind of what they're currently worth, right, is somewhere in I think I said it was of like $144 billion, right? That's how much they're worth. That's the corporation of Sony, not Sony Computer Entertainment, like that. But their whole entity is like $144 billion. Seems pretty good, right? They're like the 91st most profitable company in the world. Microsoft's market cap is nearly $3 trillion. They are the second most profitable company in the world, I think, behind Apple. I think that's the only company that they like they're second to. I think it's Apple. So like that's what we're talking about as far as like just pure money to spend. That's why 80 billion, 60, 70 billion dollars, while a lot of money, is not really that much money when you have those kind of funds. That would be half of Sony's market cap to spend on Activision. So
I think they said like Microsoft's had $120 billion to spend this year on like acquisitions or things like that. And it's like, okay, well, but they're not even through all that money yet.
No,
so
they're not.
I mean, where
that's
do they
the original
go from
question.
here?
You asked me a question. So could Sony acquire someone like Square Enix? I think yes. I think it would cost them a lot of money, and it would be a very big investment for them. I think Grubb had said today it would probably cost in the space of like he thinks like 20 billion or something like that, like 10 to 20 or something like that is his guess. Because developers are worth a lot more right now than they were even when Microsoft bought Bethesda. Companies are selling for a lot of money. And a lot of IP and a lot of developers, right? A lot of studios come along with that acquisition. Could they do it? Absolutely. My thing is that like they could get a Square Enix. That would be good for them. But they can buy one Square Enix, and Microsoft can then just go out and go, okay, you're going to buy Square Enix, and we're going to buy Capcom, and then we're going to buy, IOI, and then we're going to buy NetherRealm, and then we're going to buy, and so Sony just can't keep up in that they can't have an arms race with Microsoft. I don't think so. That's why I don't think they could do it, but I don't know if it'd be the right move for them. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't think but here's why I don't think it'd be the right move for them either, is because like when you think of Final Fantasy, what console do you think of?
PlayStation, because it only comes out on PlayStation right now.
Exactly, but they already have that relationship.
Yeah.
Like it would be furthering this relationship for really no reason other than like we're just making sure in the future you can't go to Xbox, which like that's not the thing they need to worry about right now. Like they made the acquisition to acquire Insomniac for like a tremendous price. I forget what it was. Like tremendous for them. It was like $200 to $300 million.
Yeah,
and that's going to pay itself off if it hasn't already quickly. Like, could they snap up other studios? Yes. I just can't see them buying a publisher. I don't see it. And, you know, they're just going to do what they're going to do. Like, Sony is a very proud company. They're not going to be bullied into doing anything as much as I would love it. Like, I would love for them to take their answer to Game Pass and be like, you know, it costs more, but you get all first-party Sony games. It's just not going to happen.
No, and they can't afford to do that. That's the thing. They can't afford
to do it.
Yeah.
I would, but like, would I love that? My God, yes, I would really love that.
Yeah, of
because
course.
The majority of my gaming money now is going to Sony exclusives because they put out a decent amount of them for the most part, and I play almost all of them. So that's $70 a pop. That would be great for me, but it's just not something that they're going to do because they can't afford to do that. I think that they just continue to be like, we're going to make very prestige first party, you know, single player games and just figure it out from there. If they lose access to Call of Duty, they will create their own version of Halo. And, you know, maybe they reboot Killzone, but they will come up with their own first person shooter, and Halo survived for years and years and years as just being the Xbox shooter. And they'll probably be fine. But like, I mean, this is definitely like a clear shot towards them. I just don't think we're gonna see them respond in the way that people are hoping, where they're gonna go out and make a giant acquisition.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is reason, right, to do like, you know, Square Enix is not only Final Fantasy, right? It's not the only thing that they
Crystal Dynamics is part of that.
Yes,
and, you know,
Eidos Montreal is part of that, and you know, a lot of IP too. Like there's a lot of Square Soft and Enix IP, Dragon Quest and all that stuff. Like, you know, Kingdom Hearts, all of that stuff belongs to Square Enix. So, you know, so that's like there would be a lot of power there if they bought that publisher and those developers. It's probably the most it would be like the most likely partnership they could probably put forth would be to buy something like that. It would be in their price range. It would make a big splash. You know, but what I will say is that, you know, Sony cannot do the thing. Even if they buy them, they cannot then turn around and be like, okay, and then all their new games will be, you know, part of the subscription we're giving you. They can't do that. They've got to make their money back on the games they're making as they make them. They don't have the money. Microsoft is fine losing money on Game Pass to acquire users until they hit to a certain point, and then they can start turning profit on what's going on. They can afford to lose billions of dollars a year. They can afford to say, we're going to spend nearly Sony's market cap just on Game Pass acquisitions alone this year. You know what I mean? Like that's what Microsoft is dealing with. Sony can't do that. Sony can't put God of War on that because they needed to sell 15 million copies. They can't. They can't just take the $10 a month or whatever it is. They can't do it. And they make great games, and they make games that are loved. Alejandro says they still make first party games, first party game of the year contenders on a regular basis. They absolutely do.
They do.
But you can ask Nintendo very clearly that their most successful. Our stream is going down for some reason. Oh, I think it's going back up. It came back up.
Okay.
It hung up for a second there. You can't be you can't win. You can't be the best-selling console and the leader in the industry on your exclusives alone. You just can't do it. The Switch is so popular because yes, its exclusives sell incredibly well, but it also has like an insane attach rate and an insane like indie development stuff going on. It's just crazy. You can't like it's just like
it's an indie machine.
It's an indie machine. And they're going to end up running into an issue just where if only you buy them for the exclusives, then you're gonna have less and less people buying your system, right? If it's just based on the exclusives. So
they're gonna have to do something. They're gonna have to do something. They're gonna have to make it some sort of overture towards the customer to make sure that they stay on the Sony platform. Because, like we've learned this in the last couple of weeks. Like the person that just buys a Sony console and just plays the exclusive, it's not very valuable to Sony at all.
No,
they need you playing Apex Legends and buying skins. They need you to play Call of Duty and get the battle pass and get all that stuff. They need those other transactions as well.
Yeah.
So Sony's not very happy with me at the moment because I'm basically playing everything over on Xbox and just buying the exclusives as they come.
Yeah.
But the value right now is too good in that direction not to do it that way. Trust me, I never thought this would happen.
Let's name some other people. Any chance you think they can acquire Capcom? Sony, I'm talking about, not Microsoft.
It's possible. That's one of the ones that's been rumored for a while.
Yeah.
It's like what we've heard: Square, Capcom. Could they try and pull Konami's IPs out of them and be like, give us the IPs? Can we buy the IP to Silent Hill? Can we buy the IP to Metal Gear? Can Castlevania? Can we have we will buy them for you and attach new studios to them. Like Sony has been acquiring studios left and right. They're just not the big ones. They're not ones that and they're creating studios too.
Yeah.
For one of the studios they were creating was definitely like a first-person shooter studio that they had put together. I keep forgetting the name of the damn thing.
No, but that wasn't. They're owned by Sony. You're talking about that former Call of Duty studio that has a game that's going to come out soon. They're partnered with Sony, and that's the thing too. Is like, I think you're going to get a lot of developers partnered with Sony, and publishers partnered with Sony. I don't see a ton of acquisitions. Like Capcom is possible, but Capcom probably just on IP alone, not just counting whatever their stock price is probably worth more than Square Enix because they have a couple of insanely like that Street Fighter, that's Resident Evil, that's Monster Hunter. So
that's Mega Man, baby.
It's Mega Man, baby. So those are going to be tough. Those would be really tough gets for Sony. For stuff
they
like that.
They would funnel money into EA.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's partner up with EA and make Sony the market share of everyone's minds when it comes to any EA video game. We're talking Madden, we're talking FIFA, we're talking, the sports games, Apex Legends, and let's work together on making those games great on a PlayStation console. That's something they would probably do. Yes, it was Firewalk Studios, Alejandro. Okay. Thank you.
Except EA already kind of has like a partnership with Microsoft because EA Play is on Game Pass.
Oh God, you're right. You're totally right.
Yeah.
Well, Sony's just fucked. It's over. Pack it up, guys. Microsoft's going to come acquire you any minute.
Pack it up, gentlemen. Here we go. I agree. I mean, Sony will do something. They'll probably do something, and maybe it is. Maybe they'd make a big splash and they buy somebody big. It's totally possible. But that's a much harder thing for Sony to do, than it is for Microsoft to do. So, and listen, also like
Sony.
Microsoft could buy somebody else before Sony buys somebody. That's the other thing too.
Remedy is sitting out there waiting to be bought by somebody, and it's gonna be Microsoft.
Remedy got all that money from Epic, though. Remedy got all that big investment from Epic, so I don't think they're gonna be being that kind of saved them. I think for having to be bought.
Look, if Microsoft buys Square Enix, they love their single player games. If that means I get a sequel to that Guardians of the Galaxy game, I am thrilled. That's a win for me, baby.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? My gut is that Microsoft is probably done buying big publishers right now, but my guess, if you look at the people they're partnering with as far as studios go, let's say an IOI, or let's say a Avalanche for that other game they're making, that heist game they're making or whatever.
I keep forgetting about that. Contrabands?
Yeah, Contraband. Yes, Contraband. Those are the kind of studios that I could definitely see Microsoft just locking up. In fact, 2 days from now, Hitman, the whole Hitman trilogy is going to be on Game Pass. So there you go.
Talk like freaking Death's Door is going to be on Game Pass this week.
Yep. Death's Door.
Nobody Saves the World, which is the next game from Guacamelee, just came out today.
Let's see. January games, Game Pass. There's a bunch of stuff on this month. The Anacrusis is out. Obviously, we got Mass Effect Legendary Edition is either out or coming out.
It's out.
Rainbow Six Extraction is out in a couple of days. See, Gorogoa just came out. The Pedestrian just came out. Outer Wilds is on Game Pass. Again, it was on Game Pass and then left and it's back. Spelunky and Spelunky 2, I believe, are on Game Pass. Nobody Saves the World. Windjammers 2 is also on Game Pass. And Hitman Trilogy.
Hitman Trilogy is that's a cool thing to be on there.
Yeah, totally. Go big Sony, buy Roblox. Roblox would buy Sony, Alejandro. That's how it would happen. It would be the other way around. Is the dog photography game Paparazzi, Alejandro? I'm guessing. Because it's a good name.
It's a real good name.
Speaking of Hitman, Justin, you play a little Hitman. I
play a little Hitman 3. You could check it out on our YouTube channel at misadventure.lands.
You can, yeah.
I played through the first map. Just really starting the manor. I forget what the manor is called.
Dartmoor.
Yeah, Hitman remains a really cool game when I play it with you. When I play Hitman by myself, I'm bored to tears. When I play Hitman with other people, I think it's like a Game of the Year contender. So now I just know we're gonna play Hitman together on stream only. But yeah, Hitman is just great. I think it's a fantastic thing for Game Pass. I want to grab my friends and be like, listen, get drunk, have some friends over, and have them tell you how to beat a map, because that's a great time.
Yeah. Sure.
So yeah, I'm enjoying playing it. We're obviously getting ready for Game of the Year. So Hitman was the last thing that I needed to really check out. There's a couple other things I'm poking around at. I poked around to Kenna and played that for a couple hours and was just like, okay, I saw what this is about. But yeah, Hitman's the one I'm gonna beat before, or at least play much more of. Before we get to Game of the Year, which is rapidly coming up.
Probably next week.
Our next podcast will probably be at least the episode 1 of Game of the Year. We're going to do categories first.
Yeah.
And then we'll probably end up doing our Game of the Year podcast on the weekend, so that way more people could watch.
Yes, for sure. We also been playing some Wildermyth. We put like 5 hours or so into Wildermyth.
Oh boy, that's a game.
It's a really good video game.
It's a very good video game. I'm telling you, man, my Game of the Year list, my top 10 is more difficult than it has ever been. I keep saying this, and then we play 5 hours of another excellent video game where it's like, where on earth is this fitting? Is this the 8th best game I played? Is it the 5th best game? Or is it the 18th best game? I can't figure it out. But yeah, Wildermyth is, if you're interested in D&D and you've never gotten a group together, I think it's an excellent introduction into what D&D can be. You're basically role-playing. You're role-playing as D&D characters for the most part.
Yeah.
Your lines are set. You have choices that you can make, but like, you are not having to come up with your own dialogue. It's right there for you. And in this video that Bobby and I recorded, misadventure.lands, drop a like and subscribe, please. The return of your 3 dads, Andy, Bobby, and myself played this game. We voice many different characters, some great, like Andy's Australian accent, some awful, anything to do with me, and just there's Bobby with his usual insane voices that he gets off without a hitch. I was told today that when a character was possessed and I had to voice them, that it was terrifying, and the person listening to it did not like it. I'm very, very sorry, Peach.
That's a compliment, though.
That she didn't like it.
Yeah, because it's disturbing. It's a possessed person. So it should be.
Yeah, I guess that's right.
It should be.
I should get an Academy Award for that.
You
Trust
should,
me,
you
I
should.
did not. When I started that voice, I did not know there was going to be that much dialogue. I would have chosen something else.
There was a lot of dialogue. Not on that video was the first night we played. I did a wonderful British accent for a very long time, which I was not ready for. It was a lot.
And by a very long time, by the third paragraph, you had completely lost it, and somehow it went into a Boston accent. I think
that's it. Just fluctuates. I'm not an accent pro. I've got like 3 accents I can do consistently, and then all the other ones are just all over the place.
It's better than anything I could do.
But it's fun because the story-based thing, you're making some choices. So you're like, okay, you hear a sound down this trail. Do you want to go investigate it, or do you want to just keep going the way you need to go? And things will change based on what you do with that. You like, time is kind of like a resource in it, so you have to spend your time sort of like, okay, we're going to scout these areas, or we're going to reinforce this area, or we're going to explore this area. And your character's age. And then basically new people come into the party and kind of like take over. So like right now, like in our adventure, if you watch that video, Andy's character, his daughter in the game is now like in our adventuring party. The actual gameplay is like, it's like a turn-based, a turn-based tactics game, basically. A Fire Emblem or an XCOM type of situation where you have a certain amount of a certain amount of action points you can use. You can use them to move, and attack. If you attack first, it takes up basically takes up your actions usually. Or you can move a certain amount. If you want to move farther, you can move farther, but it takes up all your actions. And then the other side, the enemy has their turns as well. So it's I love games like that. It's so cool in this game because you can play it single player, obviously. But you can also play co-op, and co-op basically it doesn't change the experience at all. You still have all the same like depth you have in the single player campaign, except each person gets a character that they exclusively control. So Justin has his character, I have my character, Andy has his character, and you can choose what you do with them, where you move them, what actions you take. And unlike games like Divinity Original Sin, which you can play multiplayer, and it is turn-based, but you kind of are frozen in time, waiting for whatever the person is doing. You can't even kind of load up your actions or get ready to fight. You just have to kind of wait, and it can take a long time, and it can be a little bit boring. In this, we can all be kind of deciding our moves at the same time and moving nearly at the same time. Like, it will lock you out when one person actually locks in their move and does their move, but other than that, you kind of do everything at the same time, and it's really cool in that way too. I was very happy with the way the multiplayer worked when we started doing it.
It's a tremendous game.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that we're spending the time to get into it, because we're going to be fighting. Grun asks how many games we're fighting for. We're fighting for an ordered list of 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say we probably have 25 games to go through and whittle down to 10.
Maybe more. I mean, with 25 probably like games that actually have a chance. We will do our usual here's all the games we touched. Let's just start cutting like the easy ones at first. But probably like 25 like really hard games to choose from. And the truth is, I know this is going to happen. We're going to be doing this list, and I'm going to be like, all of a sudden I'm going to have this feeling like, no, this game needs to be on this list, even though I'm not even sure if it's going to be on my top 10 or whatever, because like we were talking about numbers 5 through 10, 6 through 10, basically 6 through 15 or 18 are all kind of vying for those last couple of spots. And I made my top 10 list because I was like, I'm going to go on gut. I'm going to go with my gut, and I'm going to make it, and I have it somewhere, but it could change. So
there are games that I cut off of my list that would easily make a top 10 list any other year.
Yeah.
And my number 10 is in jeopardy.
Mm-hmm.
It's in jeopardy, I'll say. It's in constant jeopardy. I just want to bring up something kind of quickly. Over the last couple of weeks, I watched all of Arcane, that Netflix show. I think it's fantastic. It tells a really great story. It has just amazing visual flair. I know nothing about League of Legends. I actively have avoided League of Legends my whole life. I've now downloaded League of Legends. I I went out and I bought that Ruined King, a League of Legends story. It's that turn-based RPG that the team that did Battle Chasers.
Right, it's like the shit. Isn't it the people who originally did God, what the fuck is that game called?
It's a Battle Chasers game.
No,
right?
I know
Or
it's it is Battle Chasers, but it's it's Airship Syndicate, but they were originally oh my god, the Darksiders people. That's who it is. It's the Darksiders team. It's the Darksiders team.
So yeah,
the original Darksiders.
I'm so into the world of apparently Runeterra. I'm learning every day. I learn something new. That I downloaded League of Legends and I ran through the tutorial just because I was like so taken with the worlds that Arcane did, and it was like, all right, well, what else can I absorb? Because I'm not going to get into League of Legends. Like I cannot afford to get into a MOBA. It's a dangerous territory for me. I just can't do it. It's not safe. It's not safe for Justin.
Not safe for Justin.
So yeah, it's not safe. Smite nearly ruined me. So I was like, let me check out this game that I've been hearing about. And I saw it mentioned, not on really Game of the Year list, but just like people mentioning like this game's actually really good. It's just like there's some issues with it. And so it is a turn-based RPG where you're playing as other characters from League of Legends in a different city from Runeterra. And the studio had done another game called like Night War. What is it, Bobby? Is it something Battle Chasers? Night something Battle Chasers.
It's Battle Chasers. Battle Chasers Night War.
Yeah, that's it. And it's got art from that comic book artist,
Joe Madureira. Joey Mads.
So it's just like, I'll say the narrative in it is actually pretty good. It got me involved, interested in it right away. Things are coming back to life. You meet these characters. Things are already in play when you meet them, and now there are things that are happening that kind of instantly just pulled me in. I think the combat is interesting because they use a lane system. So basically, in other games, this is like I go, my teammate goes, the enemy goes. But you can kind of choose your actions in a lane. Like there's the normal lane, a quick lane, and then a heavy lane. Heavy lanes do harder attacks. Quick lanes do lighter attacks, and you have your medium lane. But by doing that and using having the characters, they can move people. Like one attack will push an enemy backwards through the lane. So now maybe your other character jumps over him, and now you could get a double attack back to back. It's neat. It's really cool. I'm enjoying it. I don't know if it's a game I'll see all the way through because turn-based games usually aren't for me. But the narrative is enough that I'm being compelled, and I'm learning more characters from League of Legends. So I'm going to end up playing that fighting game that they come out with. Oh
yeah. And would you guys play that rhythm game or whatever that they put out?
No, I could avoid rhythm games because I somehow avoided all the Persona ones after I really liked Persona 5. So I avoid the rhythm games because I have none in my body whatsoever. But yeah, I think a lot of people are like me where they watched Arcane with no idea of what League of Legends really is and came away being like, I need more of whatever this world is. Show me more.
So we gotta do a month of let's see if we can learn League of Legends.
I mean, we have friends that would be down for that. I'm sure.
I know. Yes, I know we do.
But yeah, why not?
Very interesting, and this is why I was like, as I said, the Airship Syndicate is the people who made Darksiders, the Vigil team. Vigil team basically split into two. Airship Syndicate was one, and Gunfire Games is the other. Gunfire Games is who made Remnant from the Ashes. They also made Darksiders 3. That's Gunfire, and Airship Syndicate made Battle Chasers. Then they made Darksiders Genesis, which was like that Diablo Darksiders game, and then they made this Ruined King game. I like that Joe Madureira art. I'll tell you that.
It's good. And it's got a nice voice. It's got a pretty good voice cast too.
Riot's got the money.
I'm incredibly interested to see what Riot does now. If you gave me give me more genres with this IP. You got a fighting game coming out with a really nice art style. That's cool. You obviously have League of Legends. You have this RPG. What else can you do? They probably won't do a first-person shooter because it would pull away from Valorant. Although Valorant is very its own special genre. You know,
I mean,
if
they could
wanted
do
to make an Overwatch type,
or like a first person like shooter, like single player type experience, you know, like a
Totally,
Doom or
yeah.
like a Wolfenstein or whatever. Something
I
you
mean,
could
I would say
definitely
like a Dishonored game would work.
Oh,
Like
here you go.
a
Yeah.
Dishonored style game in this world would be rad.
Okay, yeah. So there's Ruin King, right? There is Hex Tech Mayhem, that's the rhythm game. Bomb to the Beat, Groove to the Mayhem. There's something called Song of Nunu. I don't know what that is. And
Legends
something
of
called
Runeterra is the card game.
Which I could play a good card game. Oh, this isn't out yet. Song of Nunu. Explore the rich world of the Fjord from its complete frozen tundra to the warmth of the adventure found within. It's a single player adventure. A young boy in his quest to find his lost mother. Unearth the secrets of myths and legends buried deep in the frozen tundra. Developed by Tequila Works, the studio behind Song of Nunu, a legal story, invites players old and new to experience. That means it's going to be like a Zelda, probably like kind of thing. Is my guess. Yeah, and that's what it looks like for sure. Yes, that's what it looks like for sure. But it's you got like a companion, maybe kind of more like a Team Eco type of situation there. And then there's one called Convergence, a League of Legends story, which is it doesn't have any information on it. There's a trailer for it. That's not the fighting game, right?
No, Project L is the fighting game.
I can go Double Stallion. I'm trying to see if there's any gameplay. I'm looking.
It'd be cool if there was, because I've been like,
there's no gameplay
a big
yet.
Blind spot for me. Okay.
Double Stallion is the developer though.
I
got a lot of
honestly
games.
I honestly think we'll see more, especially off the success of Arcane, because it is way, way better than I thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. They have a good thing going right now, and they have an incredibly popular IP that they are leveraging in some interesting ways. So
yeah,
that's neat. All right, I think that can do it for the show tonight. What do you think, Justin?
I think that's good.
Oh, by the way, everybody should watch Yellow Jackets.
You convinced me.
I finished the
next thing on my
night.
list.
The finale last night. It's fucking amazing. It's gonna be one of those shows where like a select group of people are talking about it a lot right now, and then my guess is next year when it comes back, it's gonna blow up. It's like that kind of show. It's on Showtime, which kind of sucks. It's only on Showtime, but I got that month free trial, so I watched that, and I'm gonna watch Dexter. But it's amazing. It's an amazing show. If you all want to get in touch with us, you can find us. You can find me on Twitter at Bobby Shortle. We got at Justin says _hey on Twitter for Justin. Missadventure.land is where you can get our YouTube channel. You might be watching this live on YouTube or the VOD on YouTube right now, but if you're not, if you're listening to one of your podcasting services of choice, go there, subscribe, like, ring that bell, so you see all the videos that we talked about today. If whatever podcast platform you're on, please rate, review us, whatever that be, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, any other service that might have a rating system. Please do it. It really helps people find the show. Big time work. Like Justin said, we're coming up on Game of the Year, so we're getting close. Next podcast, we're going to do categories, and then we'll do a part 2 where we do our ordered list of 10. So look out for that. We got another episode of Remaining Evils that's ready. It's ready. I think it's coming out on Thursday now. That's one that's in the can, so you can check that one out. And then we got the Hitman playthrough. We got Wildermyth. We got some other stuff cooking. So look out for all of that. I think that's gonna do it though. So until next time, thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Bobby.
And thank you to everybody who's watching or listening. Until next time, be good to one another. Later.
These two great friends agree a lot, but when they don't, then the shit gets hot. Though there's C+ in their gameplay, their commentary gets an A. So boys, girls, black, white, brown, and blue, if you're kind and you're respectful